Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. Yeah, we're getting ready for this is Coronation Week, so a lot of things are getting pulled out of storage. Yes, even, well, thank goodness the guys in the UK don't have to pull out the robes. They need to be aired out because they're probably smelling of mothballs. Okay, just a reminder, everything is for entertainment purposes only. Full disclaimer is in the description box. Questions, comments, go for it. And let's start up. I've got a lot of notes here, so this may be a long one. Yeah, we're starting to see a new runner in running for the 2024 job interview. And it's this guy, Vivek Ramaswamy. So we'll have to do some digging on him. He is an elephant, leans towards the elephant side, and he has openly already started out stating there are only two genders. Now, the other thing that's been hitting the news is the Miami guy. His calendar of appointments has been released. I mean, he spent some time in the pokey initially, and when he came out, they had listed meetings, business meetings that he had set up, and it's kind of funny that a lot of them meetings that he had scheduled are with the members of the current admin, Washington admin. So it's people are hiding and scrambling to cover their own butts. They're all looking for alibis to say, no, I wasn't there. Kind of like back ages ago during when those two kids out in Hollywood, California, and Los Angeles eliminated their parents. I mean, that father of the two boys was so horrible that everybody, when they found out that the parents were gone bye-bye, everyone was scrambling to lock down their alibi. So it's the same situation now that Miami guy's appointment book has been made public. Everyone is scrambling to cover their butts. And the other jokes that was going on, yeah, Jojo made a mess of himself. I'm surprised they didn't have to change his diaper after the press dinner. And he was talking out of both sides. Jojo talks out of both sides of his mouth. I mean, it's an issue of freedom of speech, and some places that don't follow the donkey's way of thinking, they're being cracked down on. So, and I know that I've been losing numbers, so I think in the past 2 weeks I've lost 10 or more numbers, and I'm a very, very small channel, so I know that half of the people that are watching this aren't subscribed. So I guess people just don't want to clog up their subscription feed. But when I get close to that 4,000 mark, I am going to make a big push. So hopefully I might get the dollar signs. But until then, hey, if you feel like it, I've got a Venmo link down there. Now, I have listened to my favorite suite over the past couple of days. And in Queensland, down under, they are now finally making the admission that it was nothing but a common flu. And the United States, starting in next week, May 11th, you no longer have to drink the tea or get the liquid to come in and out of the United States, which is finally, maybe I might want to go get my passport renewed. But everybody's questioning, especially my favorite suite, is for how long have the politicians known all about this stuff? I'd like to see their investment portfolios because I'm sure the ones that knew have a lot of pharmaceutical stocks. So I'm just watching. And the other gracious lady, she was making mention that Poland is really in the business of they're building up their Army, Navy, Air Force, all those guys. Because, you know, they were kind of caught off guard on September 1st, 1939. And so they're anticipating something similar to happen. And they're not going to get caught off guard again because they know they can't rely on us or the UK. So they are really building up everything. So they're set to go so when the firecrackers go off. Okay. Let's see. I've got a lot going on, so everything's going to bounce around a little bit. Now, Rachel, of course, everybody saw the interview that was broadcast on Aussie TV. And it's now coming out forward that Rachel she's playing the color card again. She's one color when it suits her and another when it doesn't. And so now she plays very dark-skinned when it's convenient for herself. And after watching that interview, it's like she's got good curly hair. But unfortunately, now it is so damaged because of all the chemicals that she's put on it. So she fits into the she wants a good straight Caucasian hair. Well, she needs to realize that there's a lot of us who are lighter than a paper bag, but I've been on a few times where I've just let my hair dry naturally, and it is pretty curly. Those of us who have the genetic makeup where we may be carrying the BRCA gene, we've got real curly hair. Just take a look at Amy Irving. And who else has Carol Kane? Her hair was real curly. And Bernadette Peters, her hair's super curly. So come on, Rach, get with it. Embrace your curls. But I guess that's not good enough for her when she wants to play, when she wants to pass. And plus the nose job. I wonder how many. I hope she doesn't go into the Michael Jackson syndrome. Now, a lot of things, they're finally taking her down, according to some of the polls. They're letting her know she's not the most popular person. Yes, she did sign with the William Morris Endeavor Agency. And I guess they're sitting down in a boardroom with her and explaining the facts that her popularity numbers have been dropping dramatically by her behavior. So, yeah, they're telling her she's not very popular. We have to fix your image. And I think another reason why they signed her is because here she's so pro-donkey. And William Morris Endeavor Agency, when you start digging around on them, like I have, you're going to find they are extremely well connected with the donkeys. And I'm talking upper echelon donkeys. I mean, Ari, his brother, was actually Barry's chief of staff. So Ram and Ari Emanuel, they're way up there. way, way up there. So, yeah, they brought, I think they brought signed Rachel up to keep her from going rogue. And what's even more interesting is that the House of Givenchy is now ready to release the eye in the sky footage. Yes, all your high-end couture houses do maintain eye in the sky footage for security reasons. And they have the footage of her and the interaction between Rachel and the little girls. So that may be released sooner or later. So it is going to be interesting. Things are starting to come out, and she just needs to deal with it. It's not pretty, but it's coming out. Now for Henry, they're now announcing he's only going to be in the UK for 36 hours. He's going to fly in, get there on Friday. Then he's going to take the first flight out after everything wraps on Saturday. And now he's having the temper tantrum, stating that I don't want any information of my accurate travel plans released to the public because he's in danger his security. Oh, Hanky Poo, no one's really interested in you. Get a grip. And now he's also having fits because people are now talking about that the Duke of Westminster, which happens to be the largest landowner of the area of London. Yeah, they own the majority of they own the ground. And all these houses pay ground rent to the Duke of Westminster. And this is like Mayfair, Belgravia, and I guess the family has even bought up a chunk of Silicon Valley. They own property all over the place. I mean, you think Bill Gates owns property? The Duke of Westminster has Bill Gates beat by a long shot. And so he is now, he's the Duke of Westminster, what is it, Hugh Grosvenor. He is going to be playing a big role in the coronation. He will be carrying one of the standards, which is a flag. You know, everybody has their own royal flag with their coat of arms and all that stuff. So, yeah, Henry's kind of got his knickers in a twist because the Duke of Westminster is doing everything that Henry could have been doing. So, poor little boy. Do I need to buy you a box of Puffs Plus so your face doesn't get red raw from wiping your tears away? Now, everybody else is chattering on about the coronation and things are going on. It's and who's made the list, who hasn't made the list. And it has been announced that several of the older generation, like Lady Pamela Hicks, she is the daughter of Louis Mountbatten, Lord Mountbatten, who is cousin and uncle to Huey II and Prince Philip, and he was also the last viceroy of India. His daughter, who's in her 90s, didn't make the cut, but she's handling it very graciously, and so are all the older peers. There are quite a few, so they're being very gracious, but I have a feeling that underneath everybody is seething because Charles is not following protocol. He's such a stickler. KC3 always expects everybody to call him sir and this and bow and scrape. Well, he's not following all the protocol because, yes, they cut the occupancy down to only 2,000. Well, part of that is health and safety because in case something nasty happens, trying to get 5,000 people out of that abbey would be, remember the Iroquois Theater? Yeah, look that up. It would be a situation like that. But he is putting people like this one Australian nurse, Emily Reagan, because she worked throughout the entire lockdown and went beyond the call of duty. I mean, she does deserve to be recognized. But I think she was smart enough to realize that this was all a hoax, so why not keep working? It was a flu. And they used the vent and the remdesivir just to eliminate the useless feeders. It was all a hoax. It was basically a way to create a worldwide ghetto, just like Adolf and his henchmen did. The other thing that people are having kitten fits about is like, Camilla is going to be called queen. Well, excuse me, but read your history. The wife of a king is always referred to as the queen, even though she is always the queen consort. Just to make things easier, they knock off the consort portion and just call her the queen. We all know she's actually the queen consort because she did not inherit the throne. She's the queen because her husband is the king. Just like when there is a woman who inherits the throne, her husband cannot assume her titles. A woman follows the stature and the titles of her husband. So, of course, Camilla, her KC3 is king. Charles is king, so she automatically becomes queen. But in the line of heraldry, if a woman is by birthright a marquess or a duchess, or in this case a princess, her husband does not automatically rise to her station. He remains at his station coming in. So I think that people just need to chill out about Camilla being called queen. They just need to get around it. I mean, even if with the divorces and everything, if Diana was still alive, she would be handling this with a lot of grace and diplomacy. She would not be having a fit about it, although she probably would be kicking Henry in the butt and telling him to behave. In fact, if she was around, if she had survived the accident, I don't think he would have married Rachel anyway. And she would have been probably kicked back and probably hanging out with Sarah, kicking back with their shoes off, watching everything on TV. When actually, folks, if anybody has ever had the opportunity to attend a big function at Westminster Abbey, oh yes, it's great to be there and to sit and be part of the event. But unless you're right up front, you can't see squat. I don't know if they're going to have monitors set up, but honestly, if you're not dead set up front in where they have the main section, those first 10 rows right around where all the action is taking place, you can't see shit. You're better off at home watching it on TV. I wonder how many women are going to have like extra battery packs in their purse so people can be watching it on their phones. Battery packs. Because imagine streaming something on your phone. How long is your phone battery going to last? 30 minutes? An hour? So a high intensity battery pack, you're going to be plugging it in so you can watch it on your phone if you're sitting in the nosebleed seats. And yeah, somebody else told me that there's actually the bookmakers are now taking bets on what Catherine is going to be wearing. Is she going to have a flower wreath, or is she going to actually pull out a tiara or a hat? And like I said, a lot of people are kind of happy that that they don't have to pull the robes out of the attic, because a lot of these robes, some of them were made for when what George the what was it? It was Elizabeth's dad was George the Sixth. So yeah, George the Fifth. Yeah, he was the one right after Victoria. Were made for when he became king in 19. Okay, shit me now. It's like 1901 is when Victoria died. 01 or 04. That's when a lot of these robes were put together, were made. Then Edward the Seventh. They were made for Edward the Seventh. Then they were worn for George the Fifth when he became king in 1911. And then they were worn for George the Sixth when he became king in, what was that, 36? And then they were pulled excuse me, pulled out then in 53 for Elizabeth. And now they've been sitting in mothballs for 70 years. So they were basically used and brought out for airing quite a few times, 4 times in 50 years. And now they've been sitting in mothballs. And if they weren't professionally saved and stored correctly, I would say a lot of these, if you touch the fabric, it just shreds. And anyone who has an old fur knows that the fur, if it's not stored correctly, the pelts dry out and they crack and it just molts. You've got pieces of fur all over the place. So I think a lot of people are really happy they don't have to have those remade, because have you checked the prices of ermine lately? I mean, I can honestly say some people had better start raising those little rodents, because we may be back into the entire pomp and circumstance for when William has his coronation. So I think that might be a new industry. A lot of silk velvet is going to be needed for when William comes out, and a lot of ermine. So, PETA, don't have a snit fit. Go someplace else. We also saw Anne. She called her brother out. She said, hey, listen, slim down monarchy is fine, but idiot, look at how much work you're doing. Everybody has to do a lot of work. And it's like the Kents, the Duke of Kent, and space brain right now. The Gloucesters and the Kents, they're getting up there in age. So yeah, you need to start relying on the younger generation to pick up the slack. It's like you need the Snowdens to start stepping up to some point. I mean, David and Sarah, hey, their aunt, those are Charles's only first cousins on his mother's side. He needs to, they're my age. They still can get up there and do a lot of work. Also, the York girls can be busting their butts. They have less people to do the same amount of work. It's like there's basically 12 people doing the work, and he wants to drop it down to half. Sorry, that's Charles, you're going to have to start pulling in, and your idea of a slimmed down monarchy does not mean less people. maybe less expensive Falderall, but you have to keep the body, you need the body count, or else it's going to blow up in your face. And people will start grumbling because the charities and so forth, they want the glitz, the glamour, they want to see a Duke and Duchess. So you have to make sure that there's enough people there, enough employees to do the job. Yeah, we've all heard the scenes about the guy who tossed some stuff across the fence at Buckhouse. It was like a Mossberg that people use here in the States to take the heads off rattlesnakes. The little things that go in that to make it go pow were tossed over, and then he was also carrying some sort of bag, which then they did some Hollywood magic on to go make it go boom. Well, yeah, he's in custody, and they're not really talking about what his agenda is, but I think it was just, it might be traced back to some people who are like very sweet, just to prove how things can happen. So to prove a point for I think it might have been done so the people who live in California can prove their point. That's what I think it is. That's what I keep getting. It's just something to prove a point that two other people keep whining about, and why somebody has a lawsuit because he needs more people around him. So that's why I think that was the agenda. And now I guess another thing that was popped up that I saw a very small notice about. 14-year-old boy in Belgrade went in and did some pow pow pow. And I guess there were 8 people who were struck by the pow pows. I have a feeling that this child, I mean, he's 14. His hormones are all over the place. He's a child. It's going to be found out that his peers were probably making his life miserable, and everybody was too woke to do anything. But this woke nonsense is spreading worldwide, and we've got to quash it as much as possible, because these kids, these children, they cry out for help, and the adults in the schools are too woke to listen because it isn't their agenda. So the children are using whatever means possible to get the attention they need. And yeah, it's like Omid Scobie, yeah, Scooby-Doo was on ITV's This Morning program, and he was babbling his normal stuff coming out, and he was babbling on how Henry is like, he's still trying to be there because he's still a counselor of state and he is still in the line of succession, so he is taking seriously his attendance. Well, if he was so status conscious, why didn't he make his intentions known in 2022? And yeah, Scooby-Doo is also saying that, oh, there's been direct communication between Hanky Poo and KC3. Well, you know what? Scooby-Doo, I guess you're going to have to schedule another appointment with your plastic surgeon because your nose is growing. Why don't we change your name to Pinocchio? But we do know that Hanky Poo is really concerned as to where he's going to sit. Nosebleed, the better. Farther up in the nosebleed, the better. Now, is this everything? And I think, oh yeah, the one last thing I do want to mention is it has been brought up in the international news, and it's been hushed in the American news. Pretty soon, there was a federal mandate order called Title 42 that was brought in by Donald. And what it is, it's so that the United States could just immediately return back people who come into the United States illegally. Well, it gives the government power to immediately expel illegal border crossers. Well, JoJo isn't going to renew that, and everybody knows. So you think the influx is bad now? It's going to get worse, a lot worse. And the fools that are in and around JoJo, the latest little stunt that they've pulled is they're using drag queens for commercials for people to enlist in our armed services. Our commander-in-chief, JoJo, thinks it's suitable to use drag queens in the adverts. Heck, I remember the commercial with John Travolta for the U.S. Army. A lot of things have to change. Those of us who really like elephants, we need to start standing up. We need to start making our voices known. We're going to have to really, really be watchful, mindful, and parents are really going to have to stay on top of the teachers of their children. If they see something wonky, they need to call out those teachers. And it's really sick because in April, we had elections for the school board. Less than 25% of the people who voted in the midterms showed up. And at the midterms, we have a low turnout. So only 25% of the people who voted in the midterms, which means maybe less than 25%, maybe 15% of registered voters paid attention to the school board elections. People, because of your own apathy and laziness, that's why everything's going to heck in a handbag. Yeah. People wake up. We've got a lot more to do. And yes, this is day 3 of this week's Coronation Week, and this is a gold and silver tiara from once upon a time when I was supposed to get married, but it's been stashed in a box for many, many years. So I pulled it out for the coronation. So everybody, it's Wednesday, it's hump day, so have a great one. Catch you on Friday.